My brother reaped the resources. He brought us all to the Lord. But it was easy because we always had family altar. So at family altar, he had us read John, the Gospel of John.
Your brother did?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And when it came to Nicodemus asking Jesus by night, what must I do to be saved? We read all that passage, John 3:3, John 3:16. And this is how I led different people to the Lord, just on those three verses. John 3:3, you must be born again. John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. And the very last verse, if you don't believe, you're condemned already. And that's how I would lead different people to the Lord.
Would you, just guessing, how many people would you say that you were able to help them trust that the gospel was important for them to look at and change their lives?
Well, I was in high school. I was 16. I was in high school, and I had two girls that came to know the Lord through my testimony, and I was just saved myself. And they put in the yearbook, Dreeny's ambition was to convert the school, and it was. I talked to everybody from the principal on down. And so that's when I started. And then, of course, it was my
What
husband.
makes you want to tell people?
Pardon?
What makes you want to tell people
Because
about
I
the
didn't
gospel?
want any of my dear friends go to hell. It was as simple as that. And when I was in the 8th grade, I wasn't even a Christian myself yet. And I was talking to a boy. I don't know who he was now, but I was talking to a boy, and I asked him, did he believe Jesus was God's son? He said, I don't even believe in God. I said, well, then you're going to hell. And I wasn't even a Christian yet. But because Mom had us in the Bible every day, it wasn't new to me. I mean,
Did he get mad? Did he get mad with what you said?
I don't know what he did, and I didn't care. I was just telling him the facts.
Mm-hmm. You never know how it affected him later.
No, I have no idea. No, I did have and of course I was going with my husband, and I'd gone with him for about 2 years when I was saved. I was 16, and I was about 17 or a little better when I led him to the Lord. And we went together for 3 years, and I wasn't going to marry him until I made sure he was a born-again Christian. And then the war was on.
I want to ask you about some topics that people struggle with and how you would advise them to look at things in terms of the eternal perspective. Since you're going to heaven soon, we just openly say that we know.
I hope any day.
Hope any day. Because of your health and your age, you know it's just time. So now you have a chance to just think about people that are left and they are living their lives and they have a long time to make choices. What would you say to the person who feels that God's not real, that it doesn't matter what they do, and they're happy, they have a lot of,
maybe an atheist?
Yeah, or they just don't know or don't care and they're living life and they feel like they're happy. But what would you say to them from where you're at now, your perspective at the end of your time on this earth? What would you say to someone that's maybe in their 20s?
Well, I have a granddaughter, and her husband is an atheist. And I've always talked about the Lord in front of him, with him. And he always seemed to want to hear, but the older he got, the more bitter he got. And he just said, I just don't believe. I don't believe there is a God. And so after speaking to him, I have a devotion every day. And I said to the Lord, I truly believe I am crucified with Christ, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the Holy Spirit is the one that's guiding me. And as I depend on Christ and the Holy Spirit, that's where I get my knowledge from. So I said to the Lord, to Christ, Holy Spirit, I don't know how to deal with an atheist. I've said all I could say. I'm not doing any good. So what am I supposed to say? So the Lord spoke to me and he said, what God doesn't he believe in? So I said to him the same thing. What God don't you believe in? He said, what are you talking about? So right then he was admitting there was only one God.
I don't understand. You told me that before. Explain I don't get it. What God don't you believe in?
Well, there's the Buddhists, there's the Muslims, there's the Seventh-day Adventists, there's all kinds of religions out there. Religions. They all have a God. They all believe in a God. Whether
Okay.
it's a man and he's like God. I mean, like the Mormons, they use that guy as if he's their God, but he's just a human being like you and me. So do you follow me there?
Yeah, but you're asking an atheist. He doesn't believe in any of that. He thinks it's all silly.
No, I don't think the way it came across, the way he accepted it was when I said, what God don't you believe in? In other words, he wasn't thinking of any other God. He was only thinking of the one God. That meant actually that he wasn't an atheist. He did believe there was a God. So he said, I guess I'm not an atheist anymore. I'm just an agnostic. It's just that I don't believe in anything. And that's the last where we ended.
Because he didn't have a problem with the other ones because they weren't even significant.
Hmm?
It's because he didn't, do I understand this correctly, that he didn't even bother with the other ones.
No.
He only wanted
He
to
only
defy.
believed in the one God.
He only wanted to defy and say the God of the Bible
So
does
what
not
was
exist.
he saying? As an atheist, he believed in a God. If he didn't believe in this only God, he was actually saying, I don't believe in God. So he said, I guess I'm not an atheist. I'm just an agnostic.
Okay.
It seemed to satisfy him.
Right. We don't want that in the video. We don't want that sound, Sorry.
Was he scratching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.